Hello everybody and welcome to a special episode of the OS Talk covering the 2014 OS World Cup. I have quite a few of the 2014 OS World Cup staff with me today. I'm with Locktab. Hey Locktab.
Good evening.
I also have one of our map selectors, Togalet, with us. How you doing, Togalet?
Good morning for me.
Alright, I also have one of the players on German side, Captain Exen. How you doing, Captain?
I'm doing pretty good.
Alright, we also have P3N with us, or Pin. How you doing, Pin?
Oh, I'm fine.
Alright, I also have my co-commentator during the matches with me, Mr. Color here. How you doing, Color?
I'm doing just fine, thank you, Z-Chat.
Alright, and we also have one of my co-hosts for the OS Talk here, who's in and out, Charles445. How you doing, buddy?
Hi.
Alright. So we're just going to go over a few things today, go over a couple questions about the tournament, how it's going, some predictions, just a little bit of small talk, and this will be released before the semifinals, so be on the lookout for it. The first thing we're going to talk about a little bit is the major changes that have happened from last year to this year, and obviously there's quite a few different things, and to start it off, I'd like Locktab or Pen, either which one, to go ahead and go into some detail on what things have drastically changed from last year to this year.
Yeah, you can start. I have to start. Okay. This year we have mainly the double elimination implemented into the OC World Cup, extending the OC World Cup by 1 week by that, and giving everybody in the knockout stage a second chance to get into the finals, so everybody can lose at least once up there.
Mm-hmm. And what were some of the thoughts behind that? Why did you feel that a knockout stage was necessary?
I think that the group stage is insufficient to determine a winner, and that kicking out people based on one-day performance is also insufficient. Moreover, it has been requested several times in the Turkey World Cup already and on other World Cups so far. I think Gladiol was also requesting this several times in the years. Yeah,
and I know one thing is this year it's kind of good to see that this knockout state double elimination is here, because a lot of people, if everybody's following the tournament and they've been watching the matches as they go on, a lot of people have noticed that a lot of good teams are actually on that losers bracket this year, and it's quite different than what we've seen in past years. So this ability for those teams to come back and take part is really exciting.
Yeah, I think this year it was obvious that some of the top teams seem to aim for being in the loser bracket, because maybe they thought, okay, fighting up all the way from the loser bracket is easier than just staying on the winner bracket and going to the regular tiers. So we will see how this will turn out. I'm pretty excited.
Yeah, I think it's really great, because you'll be able to see these great come-from-behind victories, especially with so many good teams being on the losers bracket this year. I do believe that it's going to be a pretty heated... I don't want to, go and say that it's going to be more interesting than the winners bracket, but it's definitely exciting.
At the same time, it is worth noting that the one that does get to the end of the winners bracket did win all of them, so it is still really going to be kind of cool to watch the winners bracket at the same time.
Oh yes, most definitely. And we'll still have coverage on both brackets. That'll be going on still on the weekends, everybody. And that's pretty much most of... Was there any other changes that have happened?
Yes, we streamlined the map pools. In the past OWCs, we had different map pool sizes throughout these stages. And from this year onwards, we are aiming to have the same map pool size on every stage, with the same separation, to have 6 no-mod picks and 4 picks for each hidden, hard rock, and double time, and the free mod, and 1 tiebreaker, just to keep it consistent.
Yeah, and do you feel that that's yielding better results than it had in previous years?
It has to be seen, but personally I think it's much easier for the map selectors to always have the same pool sizes and the same restrictions, just to look for the maps they want to put into the different stages to make it more interesting.
Well, that's good. And that actually kind of brings us on to one of the other talking points, is actually with the map pool selectors. And Tugalet here can actually go into a bit more detail on that. I kind of just want to know around. I did a round of, I think it was the second OS World Cup. I did a slight dabble into the map pool selecting bracket, and it just wasn't for me. I couldn't get it right. So I know Tugalet's been doing an excellent job here. So I kind of want to know, and anyone else that has any input on this, feel free to chime in as well after Tugalet. But I kind of want to know what it is that he's going through and how does he make the choices he makes. I know he has another map selector with him, but I just want to get in his head for a minute and just see what he does.
So, to talk about it, I and my co-map selector Gladdy has as one aim, which is we give more
Variety
to the map pool. In case like if the map pool only consists of only stream maps, then people will start to have muscle pains and like they nag about it. And if it all consists of jumps, and those monotonous map pools will make players not enjoy the map pool. So we're aiming for more variety. For example, let's say if we have 2 stream maps, we get to have jump maps, we get to have some hard rhythm maps or hard reading maps as well. And I would like to touch about the free mod as well. That this year we on free mod you have to 2 players on each side of the team have to pick a mod. It is a must. So they are being forced to play with mods. So we're not trying to stress them that much because they have to do it even though they don't want to. So we're alleviating the burden on players to enjoy the map as well. And I guess that's it.
Yeah, but yet you're still creating another level of strategic play with forcing those players to play that mod. Because you go in and 2 people from both sides have to use one, so they have to think of it. What players are strong against Hidden, what players are strong against Hard Rock, and things like that. I will say that one thing that we haven't seen, and for good reason obviously, is we've not seen anybody use Flashlight yet. Is that not allowed, or is it just not wise?
It is allowed, but who would play
I can't imagine
Flashlight?
that actually being a... Same with the double time in a lot of those cases.
Well, I don't believe double time can work due to the fact that if double time's applied, yeah, everybody has to have double time. But Flashlight is a little bit different. But yeah, I've never actually seen somebody use it in a tournament outside of the Mania World Cup. We did see that, and it helped with readability for some people, as they weren't able to take in all the information coming at once.
It happened last year. Last year, people were using flashlights and with Sage. Just saying.
Yeah. Actually, I do like the idea behind the map pools being basically divided around different playstyles. Like, I know that there's a couple maps in there that are particularly just overall well-rounded maps. Like, if it's okay to come into the specifics, the Adulorescence on Hidden, that seems to be pretty much an in-betweener map. You know, a lot of jumps, a lot of streams, but just overall balanced. And at the same time, you have some double time picks that have such a ridiculously high approach rate that it turns into a reflexes challenge.
Yeah.
Just all sorts of gameplay styles.
And it's really interesting to see how far it's come from its original years. I know earlier we were kind of going into a little bit of detail before we started of previous OWCs, and Mr. Color brought up something kind of interesting, is that in the first OWC there was maps that weren't even technically approved yet. I do believe he said it was Chipscape, right, Color?
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Chipscape was not the only one, I believe. It's hazy. Like, memories are hazy. It's been 4 years. The map pools aren't available. I've already checked. But yeah, just in overall, we can say in retrospect that in the first OS World Cup, the map selection was a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and I'm glad to see that every year it's getting bigger and better. And talking on stuff like that, this one's probably a bit more directed towards Loctav or Pin. is it possible that we'll possibly see more game-changing elements added into the tournaments as time goes on? Like in 2015, the new banning system is something that we've never seen in a tournament before, and I really enjoy that. I think that gives a whole new level of play and a way you have to think about how you're going to tackle your opponent before you actually go up against them. So, Locktab or Pin, my question is, will we see any more drastic things that will make players think more about what they go into during their matches?
We might consider this, but currently the mechanics we have right now are pretty much ironed out. They have developed over years, especially during the other World Cups. Yeah, because we are the mechanics that the half of the team has to use at least one mod is already established since the last Tiger World Cup. And it's not new. The only very new mechanics we have this year is the ban mechanics and the double elimination. And I think if there's no apparent need for this, we won't add or change something for now, because the only thing that always disturbed me anyways in the World Cup is that we always change something and people had to get used to the changes again.
Yeah, and the banning mechanic is like directly a result of us lifting the restrictions on the hidden Hard Rock Double Time and free mod picks, because in recent World Cups you only were able to pick one hidden or one Hard Rock or one Double Time pick per team per match, and those restrictions have been lifted. And instead we are using the banning mechanic just to make sure that the teams are able to balance out the map pool a little bit in their favor.
Yeah, and I really like the idea myself. I think that's a great way to give people, you know, that extra level of thought before starting.
The only thing we are gonna change is like we are adding in a few hours, or when I'm editing the wiki tomorrow or something, we are adding the timer mechanics. That means that the time in between the matches is going to be reduced, because we are fixating that every team has to select the bans within 2 minutes, selecting the next map into 2 minutes, and so on and so forth.
Yeah, and that's not a bad thing, because as a commentator myself, a little bit of inside, Color can probably agree, there'd be times where we're sitting there and it gets a little bit stressful. You get a little bit sweaty, you know, you worry about it because there's so much dead air and you're waiting for confirmation to what's going on, and sometimes it just takes some time. And so
if I can just chime in on this very quickly, I think when it comes to this year has been incredibly better than all the other years before.
Yes.
We've been incredibly efficient, and I think the rare times when there's been dead air, it could have been padded over.
Yeah.
Yeah, keep patting yourself on the back there, Color. Oh, I touched you. Right. Anyway, but no, for real though, honestly, I feel like the viewers would just enjoy small talk. So it is easy to get nervous when lots of people are listening to you talk. I was doing a bit of the Mania World Cup commentating, but it turns into just trying to juggle it as much as you can until things get done. While I agree the hard time limits on the picks are a good idea for the commentators, it'll make their life easier, it might be a little scary if people have connection issues on one team and they can't get the bans out quickly.
Yeah, that is something. I know that work goes into the tournament client every other match. There's something that's been adjusted or fixed, and like the amount of dedication that's going into that is nuts. We've seen so much happen on it in such a short time, and I know a lot of people in the Twitch chat and other places, they're like, well, it's lagging or stuff like that, but I don't think they understand exactly how hard it is to get 8 connections from all over the world at one time to play smoothly.
Well,
Actually,
there's that. Sorry, Charles, cutting you off once
you
again,
go,
but...
Color. I talked already.
There's that, and I think people are just only noticing now because it was just overshadowed the previous years by other technical issues that kept happening. You have to remember, last year I was doing play-by-play on the Twitch. stream because I couldn't get the client running, so my play-by-play was always like 30 seconds behind. Now it's fixed, so of course we're gonna start looking at the lesser the lesser issues.
A bit of an
Moreover,
addendum. Real quick,
the lags have been fixed, not fixed, but readjusted. I mean, Snooziefu was readjusting the buffering and the syncing, and last weekend, namely the round of 16, we tested out the new mechanics, and the only issue we had that the audio was desyncing. I mean, this has been addressed by now too, but the actual lag that were happening actually never kicked in. I mean, not as much as we experienced it in the past.
Yeah. And go ahead, Charles. You've been trying
Basically,
to get in there for a bit.
the big issue that I see people talking about is when the client will accidentally combo break somebody and then take a while to catch up, which will usually throw off the commentator talking about it.
Yeah. It has gotten a lot faster on catching itself, though. I've noticed. The last time I did something, I think it was at the Mania World Cup, and we were using it.
Yeah, we had to get used to that. We got used to it by the end of it.
Yeah, we had we figured out what was actually a drop and what wasn't. But with the OS World Cup, it's been really quick. I mean, we'll go, and we can almost instantly correct ourselves because it's like a snap of the finger. It lets you know that it's right back and nobody dropped. There's been
that's unusually when it happens to someone, it doesn't happen to everyone else. So usually when someone gets it wrong, we can correct each other.
Exactly. Something I did want to go and touch base on a little bit beforehand is with the new banning system and stuff. Yet again, this is kind of inside thing before we started, but I figured we could talk about it. Marcin, or however you pronounce his name, I'm terrible at it, but we were talking about possibly, putting stuff in there like the ban timer and stuff like that you could set on the Twitch. Obviously, that's not something we're probably going to aim for right away, but I think that would be kind of neat to be able to see. That way, everybody can know what the bans are. That way, I mean, we could still announce them, obviously, for people that are just listening in, might have it tabbed out, but they'd be able to see that. And I don't know all the mumbo jumbo that would have to go into making that possible.
So it's just a chat bot, isn't it?
Yep. It's all based on Bancho. So everything we are doing this year as tournament staff is happening from the outside, so we can manage all the matches from IRC. We don't have to be in-game at all. And because everything is handled by Bancho, we can make it possible. We can make it show on Twitch.
That would be fantastic. I really think that would be cool. Not only that, it gives the viewers, they know how much longer they have to ban, they know what they're banning, and it adds another level of, oh, this is cool, so now I know what songs in this pool are going to be gone. And it'll be great. I think that is something to definitely look forward to.
It is worth noting, though, just as a fail-safe, because I've seen this happen in a lot of... How you doing there, Z-Char? Anyway, right.
I apologize.
So,
I'm sorry about that.
no, that's fine. Right, so there is something to note about just Twitch chat and hooking up things in general. You don't want to announce the winners in Twitch chat until a purposely delayed, minute, because there are many cases where Twitch chat's automated systems will spoil the events of the match.
Yes.
So you have to be careful since there's a whole stream delay and whatnot.
Yeah, we all, me and Keller and myself, when we're commentating together, we've kind of gotten this idea now that we usually wait about 10 seconds after 10-15 seconds after the MP link is updated, and even if it clearly looks like a win on the client side, sometimes it will catch up at the end. Sometimes you have those last second disconnects that you're not seeing coming at all. So we definitely try to look towards the MP link, because as we tell people in the stream, the MP link is going to have the definite results.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's one of the... sorry, Color. Continue.
Yeah, I usually default to MP link. I mean, even now, the clients get to score exactly right. For Mania World Cup, it didn't used to do that. But I still rely on the MP link, and sometimes it does mess up, which... when that happens, I just call the referees, but it's just... I prefer using it. It's much more reliable.
It is most reliable if you just refresh the page after the match is finished, because you can then get the exact amount of scores that are submitted, and you can see some scores are not submitted. And as a judge myself, I always use the MP link after the match has ended as the basis on how to judge the game itself.
Yeah. That kind of segues into the next question with all the stuff that we've been talking about with Twitch and the way the stream client works and everything. This is a question that's been brought up a lot in threads and asked about, and I think we've tried to figure something out with it, but at the same time it's really hectic. And that is, are there any type of plans to start streaming all the matches? Which is kind of hard because a lot of them coincide at the same time, especially during group stage. So
This is most likely not gonna happen because we tried this. I mean, last year,
yeah.
2 years ago. 2 years ago, the group stage was like 4 weeks.
Oh man.
Yeah, yeah, we had 4 weeks. Last year we even did it similarly. Like we only had overlaps of 2 matches, so we tried to stream as many matches as we could. The counterpart on this is that we couldn't overlap the matches, and Pen and me had to do like 42-hour shifts
Yeah.
twice.
I
Thrice.
will say one thing. I do like the new system as it is right now, with the ability to, say for example a team does finish early, we're able to switch over and give coverage on that other team that's playing, and that's really nice because I remember back when I was streaming for the OS World Cup a couple years ago, I think that might have been the year that it was really nuts and we had a whole bunch of matches that we had to go through. When I was streaming for that client did not like to change rooms at all, in the slightest. You try to change it and give view and it go kaboom. And now it's gotten... Yeah.
The old client went boom a lot, that's the point. The new one is more comfortable, but the thing is, I don't know how the tourney client can behave. I don't know if we can make Chico, our streaming bot, to at least record all 4 matches. But the thing is that it's a bit iffy to stream all of them and also get them covered with commentators and streamed. I mean, we can't maintain 4 channels. It's a bit... We split it up too much. I mean, maybe we can do something technical wise, but what Twitch is allowing us, it's by now not possible as we imagine it. But what we try to do is like with next year at least is like adding multi-language streams, because the Chinese and Korean community is requesting this multiple times, also the French one.
And that would be really cool, in my opinion, is to have that in multiple languages. And I don't think it would be too hard to do. It's just, how would it be packaged? Would it be VODs after the fact that are in the different language, or would they go over?
They're live.
It would go live, so would they be separate channels?
Separate streams, yeah.
Separate streams, yeah.
There are like 3 different ways that you could actually go about doing that. One would just simply be different language chat rooms covering over the same stream. The other one would be different commentators over each stream.
Yeah, we're gonna have different commentators, that's for sure. What I try to figure out is like making Chico stream to 4 channels. That's a bit iffy, with 4 different commentator streams. And we need to figure out something there, because first of all we need to figure out the technical part, and then I have to hire commentators and so on and so on. I mean, it's not as easy as it sounds, because right now we already have issues with organizing our commentators. I'm not sure.
That was a very not so subtle stab.
I mean, we have issues here.
It's okay. 3 o'clock in the morning phone calls. See, Trot, wake up! You gotta do stuff. No,
Color.
5 more minutes, Mom.
I don't feel concerned at all. My track record is perfect so far, almost perfect.
Yeah. for the OWC. What I mean, I mean, if we have already a few issues with one set of commentators, it's even more difficult with more sets, even in languages, especially with Chinese people, which are a bit like not so accessible as you know, because of issues and also the language barrier being a bit difficult.
I can only imagine timing these things and getting correct times and set things and having people there on time would be quite a hassle itself in its own.
Yeah,
It's
not
already
only
a hassle.
not only the timing, it's our job, or we see it as our jobs to ensure a baseline quality. So managing 3 teams of commentators will be much more work than we have now.
Mm-hmm.
And
Well,
we
you
don't
see
want to half-ass it.
You never know
Yeah,
when the
of
commentators are gonna suddenly start playing Sandstorm. God.
Or the
Yeah,
players.
Or talking like
players.
ephemeral or something. And I mean, I don't understand Chinese, and I don't know what they are exactly saying, and I have to be somewhat sure what they are talking about.
Yeah, and I can understand that because I can only I don't know how to say this without sounding. I just don't wish the world would have a Chinese ephemeral. I don't think they need that.
Huh? I
Um,
really don't know what you mean by that.
Okay, all right. Anybody's watched Ephemerals talk? He's a great guy, love him. But
Yeah, well, don't worry.
Okay.
They have Chinese people that swear a lot. I'm sure
Yeah.
you can find them.
no, we don't want to.
No, okay, alright. No,
Yeah, like
I wanna clear something up.
Go ahead.
There are a couple of quote unquote swears in the Chinese community that are not really as heavily weighted as they would otherwise be in English.
Yeah,
Like, I would like to give an example, but we've been keeping it pretty clean. So, but
yeah,
there are phrases again. I've talked to tons of Chinese folks on OS about that exact thing, and it really isn't a big deal.
Oh no, it's not a big deal. Like I love Ephemeral to death. That's not the thing.
No.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, here's the big deal. Ephemeral can be offensive.
Yeah.
That's the kicker here. You really don't need to worry about.
Yeah,
the
it's
commentary.
not that big of a deal. But I know, like Loctav and Pin were saying, as they move forward, quality is something. And I'd like to just give a thank you to everybody on the staff this year. And you can go ahead and say I'm kissing butt all you want, but the quality has, in my opinion, you got to remember, 2 years ago is when I took part in this last. So in the 2-year jump, it has skyrocketed. I mean, the timing, the organization, everything about it, the map pools, everything is done nothing but improve.
Yeah, I can't. I can't do anything but agree with Zchot on there. And I was kind of actually going to talk about these, like, if we get these streams in different languages, I feel that most of these streams would probably only rebroadcast the teams of the country that they are rebroadcasting with. So, for example, if you get a Chinese rebroadcast, they're probably only going to stream the match where China plays.
Well, that might be
That
something
would be
that would-
interesting.
that might be something that would probably be ironed out later and everything, but we're kind of going a little bit off tangent there. So there's
Quite. I do
no,
want to
it's definitely
add
on
up
topic.
a little bit
Go
more
ahead.
on the end there. I do have to say that I think overall the streaming of it and all of that being consistent, and I'm pretty sure there have been way less dropouts this time than there have been in the past.
Oh,
I mean, we had huge
one.
connection issues.
I only think
One.
there's been one official dropout, if I'm
Yeah.
not mistaken.
Right, and I think that's all great, and of the improvements of that nature, especially the map pool. Oh my god! I mean, I knew it was an improvement when they stopped putting my maps in there. Ayo, right? I do feel bad about Twitch chat though. I really miss those guys.
All right. So moving on to the next topic here before we get to community questions and let some of the community, chime in there. There's just a few things here. Now, one thing I've talked about with Loctav myself and not really said anything with, we could maybe go over here. Are there any plans to change prize pools in the future or offer something more? And with the titles actually, being removed, do you think that's going to create more competition for them to, go at it the next year?
The thing is that the OSU World the OSU World Cup is not commercial. OSU itself is not commercial, and therefore we can't offer prize pools that, for example, commercial competitors in this game
Oh, I'm
can't
sorry.
offer. No, I understand it, but what we
Yeah.
plan for prize pool increasements is like we always wanted to do a trophy. The thing is that this year and last year, the storekeeper responsible for the merchandise in Osu, let's say he was a bit slacky, and therefore, or not responsible. Yeah.
Yeah.
You can't rely on it. Not reliable. That's what I was looking
okay.
for. And the thing is, I was asking for trophies, but he never got it done. And for this year, the change of the storekeeper changed to Yele, and Yele wasn't in charge for too long, so I couldn't ask her in time. But we still plan on giving out trophies, like a cup or a real cup or medals or something like that. Whatever. The thing is, it's not my money.
Yeah,
So-
and I understand that. When I said prize pool, I probably shouldn't have said it as a prize pool. That's probably wrong terminology on my part. But what I meant is like what you said. You know, like you get the little tag on the profile that shows that you kicked everybody's butt, and you also I think they still give out supporter for it. You get 6 months if I'm not mistaken, correct? Yeah, so I mean, it's just cool little stuff like that, and a trophy idea is great. I think that'd be neat. Personally, I would probably just do a medal of an OS cookie because I think that would look cooler. But a trophy'd probably be awesome too. But
Ooh. You get fancy and engrave the player's name in it.
oh,
That's the plan on it. I mean,
Ooh.
it's customized anyways. But the thing is, what we already give out newly since the Catch the Beat World Cup is like the user titles. Like the Catch the Beat winners of the Catch the Beat World Cup are called CTB champions on the forums. The Mania World Cup winners are called OSU Mania champions, and the winner of the OSU World Cup will be called OSU champions for 1
Yeah.
year.
So, correct me if I'm wrong, but the Taiko ones are going to be Taiko champion.
Indeed.
Keeping it simple there. Alright.
and with those changing every year, possibly changing. We don't know who's going to win, obviously. But with those titles changing every year after the year, if you can't defend your title, will there be something along the lines, and this is just speculation at this point, if you have no answer, it's completely fine, but will there be something along the lines with the user profile maybe, where it shows not so much as a badge or anything, but just like previous accomplishments, like 2014 champion. It's not something that sticks with you, it doesn't change your title in the forums, but it's
But
something
isn't the user badge basically permanent on your profile, showing up that you won
It's
like
permanent,
okay.
you won the 2004, 14th or 2013th. What I do is like for the charts, for the ranking charts already is like whoever is the charts champion and wins the next season again gets the charts grandmaster. And this is actually what we plan as well for the OSU World Cup in future. Like first you're the OSU champion and then you're the OSU grandmaster. And I won't reveal the third name now.
Okay. Well, that's cool. That gives
Yeah.
people stuff to think about.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's like the difference between getting a trophy that you can keep home in your room and then a belt match where you're fighting over a belt, you know? I would say that it's a kind of a parallel. It is worth noting that in the scenario of a kind of like fighting over a belt match, you do have the extra fierce competition, although it might cause a bit of animosity between people. So it's definitely something to think about.
Yeah, and real
It's
quick
got
before
ups
we
and downs.
get into the big meat of the community discussions, I did want to ask Captain here. He's one of the players this year, and he hasn't really talked too much. And I want to ask him what his personal thoughts on how the tournament's been going and versus previous years. Does he feel that it's improving, and if there's anything as a player he would like to see changed?
Well, it's definitely improving. Like, for example, considering the map pools, like last year we had some delays, like map pools got released too late and stuff. It was really messy, but now it's like really planned out, and we always get the map pools right on time, and that is one point that's definitely improved. And also about the map pools themselves, I feel like the quality of the maps and like the selection itself has also improved. Like, you could like argue about the first map pool. As from my perspective, it was kinda easy, and that forced like all these close matches. For example, in my group, where there were a lot of close matches going to tiebreaker, but now it's like really shaping up. I really like this current map pool for the upcoming round of 8.
All right, cool. That's excellent. Thank you so much for the feedback on that. And now here's the time that some people might have been waiting for, or nobody's waiting for. Who knows? It's the community questions. How this works basically is if you have a question, we'll open you and grant you talk power. You can ask it to any one of the people that took part today. Captain, Tugalet, Color, Locktab, or Pen. And just you can direct it at them. It could be about the tournament. It could be about themselves. But please be respectable. And it looks like we're going to go ahead and have Kiyanko ask the first question. So, as tradition it seems, go ahead and give us your first question there, Kiyanko.
Okay, so this is regarding like the performance of teams.
Oh boy.
Don't try not to flame against the teams you don't like, but just what teams do you feel like maybe you've been doing really well this year that like haven't done well in the past, or stuff like that, or like your feelings about the patriotism of your country's team.
Okay.
Oh god.
So I'll relay that back just in case for some of our people that might not have understood that, i.e. Locktab.
For people that don't speak English.
So basically, she's asking if you feel that teams have improved that didn't do so hot in the previous year, and what do you think about them?
Or just, are there any teams that you are really enjoying watching?
The thing is, right now, the registration mechanics changed, so we are only letting a specific kind of people with a specific rank into it. Point here is that I think the overall roster is way more competitive, and I mean, the last year we had teams that were really weak, having like an overall ranking of below 10,000, and even if I know that ranking doesn't mean much, it's still a bit reflective of what people can achieve. For the last year we had not so many competitive teams than this year. The teams are also way more skilled and have a way higher performance than they had in the last year. Therefore, the teams improved, but also other teams that were stronger in the past also decayed a bit, like Korea. Korea was not top seeded anymore, but high seeded, namely because the parts of the team were not as high ranked as the others.
Yeah, and if I can chime in here, the one team that surprised me most was the Ukrainian team.
I was about to say, they're coming.
That's pretty amazing.
Get ready for Ukraine.
So yeah. This is my question. Can I add something to it?
Actually, I do want to add on to that. There was a bit of a... you know how I run around all these stupid sites and like do a bit of research. There was some criticism for you guys getting so surprised that Ukraine won. But at the same time, it's really cool that Ukraine is pulling really strong right now. And I'm really curious to see how they go in this tournament.
I wasn't as surprised as Ukraine as most people were, honestly. I had definitely thought right from the get-go that they would get out of their group. I didn't expect them to top their group. And, I mean, good on them. I think, speaking of teams that have really dropped the ball, in my opinion, Brazil completely missed their mark this tournament. Yeah, Ukraine definitely, they did very well. For a low-seeded team, they're actually the only low-seeded that are still in the winner bracket, Argentina being in the loser bracket. But yeah, it's like you said, they've done really well. Other teams, I think that have really stepped up this year. Of course, we have to mention Sweden. They've did they top their group? I think no. Actually, they came out second, didn't they? Because yeah, they got up against Japan immediately. So they came out second. I believe they lost to Taiwan, but then they took down Japan, and it's like nobody really understood what happened there. And I just think this might tie in with another point of mine is I'm kind of disappointed by Japan. I mean, in the group stage they were looking very, very good, but then it kind of devolved into they didn't play so well after that. I mean, I was kind of disappointed by the performance in round 16.
It was 8 AM for their match, just to mention it. So
yes,
it could be an issue for them.
Hopefully they'll have a better time with the matching up against Argentina, although at the same time I do want to see Argentina do well too.
9 PM or something.
Early morning rescue.
And I mean, of course, another team, they've already done well last year, but another team I want to give shout-outs from is Austria, because I keep being surprised by that team. They showed up last year, they completely overcame the odds and made it all the way to quarterfinals, if I recall correctly. And look at that. This year they're already in the quarterfinals, and I think there's a real chance that we might see this team in the finals.
So we got scary Ukraine versus Austria. That's gonna be interesting.
Oh yeah, definitely one of the highlight matches of next week.
Okay, and go ahead and sorry about that, Captain. I'm gonna go ahead and Kiyanko wanted to amend her question a little bit. Go ahead and do that.
I was actually going to say, like, because I had been talking about this before, but I'm actually, for one, sorry that I sound kind of, I'm still sick, and it hurts my left ear to talk. But I'm actually really surprised at how well the United States has been performing this year, considering that their last year performance wasn't so well in the match. Well, I want to say matchmaking or like the
group stage.
Yeah, in the group stage, they won 3-0. They won 3-0.
Yeah.
In the group stage, so I'm actually, and also in the group of 16, they beat Argentina, I think 4-2. In the
5-2.
Okay, sorry, they beat Argentina 5-2 in the group
round of 16.
In the round of 16, but like I would say that they if they do happen to end up beating Sweden, I think that the main problem for them, if it happens that it comes to them beating Sweden, is going to be that then after that is South Korea.
Yes.
That's if South Korea win against Poland, which is
exactly.
And that's that's a pretty big step.
That will be hard.
But it's South Korea.
But they lost to Germany.
If you really think about it, I mean...
Well, but there's some people that have opinions on that match of...
That's true. If you need me to bring them up, I will.
Okay, no.
Well, before we get on that, I did kind of want to answer the question. I was really surprised, because it was about things that have been going on. I was really surprised that the United Kingdom lost their match and went down to the loser bracket. And I know some stuff went, but I was hoping we could have Jesus1412 here so I could ask him what the hell was going on, because he was just getting slider breaks like it was no tomorrow, and I know the nerves had to be bothering him. But
actually, if you're getting slider breaks like no tomorrow, that might be an offset problem, where your offset is a little bit too late for the song that you're actually playing. So, sorry, the song's offset is later than you, so what happens is that you're releasing too early and you break. He might have either had, he might not have properly tuned his offset for the map beforehand, which, again, is kind of a problem. It's usually good to go through each map and tune up your offsets if you can, to avoid stuff like that, or he was getting nervous. It's really hard to say.
Okay, well, thank you so much for that question, Kiyanko. We're going to go ahead and take another one here. So if anyone else has a question, feel free to just chime in here. And if you want to speak it aloud, we will give you talk power. And if you just want to type it out, that is fine as well.
I was kind of waiting for actually... I guess we were going to talk about that Germany versus South Korea match, huh?
Oh, well, if you want to do that while we're waiting for another question, feel free.
I guess I'm like kind of like cutting off the other people that had questions. I'm sorry. I'll try to be kind of quick here, but and Captain Exon can call me out if I'm being completely wrong. But basically, we've talked about this a little bit. Here's my theory about the Germany versus South Korea match. Germany beat South Korea when they had the biggest chance to, in my opinion. It's always been in the group stage that South Korea has been the weakest. Now the reason for that is, well, first off, other than the fact that South Korea was in the so-called Group A, Group of Death, when you get into the group stage, the maps are the easiest of the entire tournament. And so any misses that will occur are probably either random misses or misses from being too confident and like putting 4,000 mods where you really shouldn't. And that happened in favor of South Korea during that match, and also happened in favor of Germany. And I think what really decided that match, other than the fact that those random factor misses that would just come in once in a while, it was the tiebreaker. And the thing is, now I don't know if South Korea have prepared a tiebreaker in the group stages. Of course,
I doubt they did.
That's the thing, right? Because when you don't get beaten in 3 years and it's the group stage, you're probably not gonna practice the tiebreaker. But if they did, all the best to them. Crazy can call me out if he needs to. But I just don't think they practiced that much if they did, because we kept talking about how that tiebreaker had some traps on it, and I saw many of the Korean players falling into said traps during the actual match. And the advantage that Germany had over them is that they played a very close match against Italy earlier that actually went into tiebreaker, and they won on the tiebreaker. So they already had, they probably, I don't know if the German team prepared for the tiebreaker. If they did, all the best to them. But even if they didn't, they would have remembered like all the traps that map had. Even from just falling into them the first time, falling from those traps the first time. So that's why I think, first off, why it went all the way to tiebreaker is because all of these random factor misses situations, because the maps are a bit too easy for such a matchup to occur early, and that's what happened. And the second part being, of course, the fact that Germany had already played the tiebreaker when South Korea probably hadn't.
Yeah, I guess that was the thing brought up earlier, where the map picks were a bit easier in the first few rounds.
I also think that Korea is more used to the modern maps. I don't know. I'm not quite sure. I mean, the tiebreaker was a quite old beat map. It was a JK Carrot map, and I don't know if I have practice. Maybe Too Glad knows more about it.
YK Carrot?
I'd like to add some more on a point of South Korea's view. I had some talk with South Korean players before the World Cup. Their mindset, well, heading into group stages like this, they will shut out teams fast as they can so that they won't need to practice tiebreaker. So they don't actually practice tiebreaker on group stages. That's what they have been planned. And I think that's as what Colors said. I mean, that's what got them into losing the match.
But to complete my thought on that, I think from now on, this is my prediction, and I've been wrong so many times in the past, it's not even funny. But my prediction is, from that point on, from the quarterfinals, South Korea is once again going to be unstoppable.
Look at this fanboy. No, I'm just kidding.
But
Anyway, come on.
I kind of doubt that, because as you can see from the South Korean roster, 3 of them are pretty new players. With one exception of Mad Class, who was doing fantastic in group and round of 16, but other 2 players were kind of falling apart from other 4 members. And I
would like to give
highly doubt
my
that.
opinion on that match.
Mhm.
So I pretty much agree with all that Color and you said about the tiebreaker. I guess I didn't practice because they don't really expect to be forced into it. I don't know. They're just really confident. but actually the maps were that easy, so with a lot of good players, like 8 good players in the game, it's like coming down to 1 or 2 misses on a map. Like all the other maps except for the tiebreaker were really close. I mean, for example, that Caramel Heaven, like 400,000 points difference when both teams have like 150 millions, that's like nothing. So I mean, I think they got nervous because they never actually were in that situation before, and that's why we came out victorious. But I don't think that it will happen again. That should have been a wake-up call to them.
All right, that was actually really good discussion brought on there. We actually have a question from Onosaki Hito. I'm gonna go ahead and give him talk power here, so he is able to go ahead and ask that. So Ono, in just a moment here. There you go. Go ahead and feel free to ask that question when you're ready.
Thank you. Hi guys.
Hey.
So yeah, my question is dedicated to Glad, since I don't always have the chance to talk to another map selector. So here we go. From map selector to map selector, how do you feel about doing this job? You were talking about the way you choose maps before, but how does the management look like in your progress? Did you prepare the maps beforehand, and what do you think about the map pool discussion thread? Because we didn't had it before.
Okay, so I'll talk about the preparation first. So basically, I and Gladdy were planning on the maps like a month before the actual World Cup happens, but it still we still needed lots and lots of times talking about which maps would be good, which maps would be not, and which maps have been used. And maybe in the group stage or until the round of 16, we may have repeatedly used some maps that we're acting on to improve the maps, and I hope you can wait for the best. And about the Maple discussion thread, I really appreciate it. It's about all the criticism and good ideas coming on, and it is really easy to accept all these ideas. The window for us to communicate with the not only the players but also the users of us, and it is really a great opportunity for us to talk with them.
That's good to hear.
Yeah, it is always nice.
All right, that's great. I love it when you get to hear that the community gets to interact and be a part of everything in realized manner. I mean, come on, Charles, that's what I'm all about here.
I know. I can just imagine somebody listening to this and going, "About time."
Yeah.
Also,
well,
I totally switched out my headset. I'm gonna sound a little different.
I do have to mention though, when I was picking maps for I think the N18 North American tournament, people requested me to like pick maps like Big Black. So you know, there's always feedback you want to listen to, and some that
feedback
you
that you want to tune out immediately and never listen to again.
Yes, pretty much.
Don't worry about the silence, guys. I can
yeah,
cut it out.
I know.
Okay. Anywho, if we have any other questions from the community, and that means also those other guys that are just kind of sitting around there, we have quite a few people down there. If they want to if they want to ask a question, feel free. I was going to say axe, but we are taking questions still. We got a little bit of time there. I do not know why your mic is disabled, but we will get that fixed.
Push the button up top.
Anywho, we'll go ahead and open this up for questions. If there are no other questions here, we'll go ahead and let Kianko do another one. Anybody have a question here? And it could be just about anything. And I see quite a few people here listening. Don't be shy. I think Millie actually muted. Oh, there's Similarian.
Oh.
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna pronounce that right for you, Silmarillion.
Silmarillion. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
Yet again.
I want to know if Similarian has a question. That'd be awesome.
Yeah, so anyways, we are taking open questions here, guys. So if anybody has any questions to ask about the OWC and what's going on, feel free to ask. They can be directed towards any of the people taking part. So I'm going to go ahead and let Kiako ask another question there, and we'll see where that takes us, and we'll go from there.
So how do you feel about not all of the maps that are in like the map pool being completely like newer maps? Because there are some, I've seen some maps that are like 2011, 2012 maps, but I was expecting more of them to be like exclusively like late 2013 or 2014 maps.
Why should they be only late maps? I mean, newest maps, because you have to also consider that, as Tuglat said, we want to offer a kind of variety, and the point is that the mapping style and the way stuff has been mapped change significantly every year. It's kind of an era every year, and that's why we are also putting maps of past years, especially from the even older ones, because people are so unused to Approach Rate 8, for example, or to odd sharp mirror patterns and stuff. And what I personally think, if you want to call yourself the OC champion, you have to be able to play everything and not only the newest stuff that gets released in the ranking.
Very true with that, except for the reason why I was asking is because a lot of players now tend to see newer maps as being more appealing. Because I've noticed a lot of players see newer maps as being more appealing, but there's also a lot of other players that don't like the newer maps because they feel that there's not much like variety in them.
I can kind of chime in on that. What I'm going to talk about though is repeats from maps we've seen in previous years. I actually think this cup has an astoundingly low number of them. On previous OS World Cups, I would always see maps picked in previous tournaments. I think this time, well, of course, there's been God Bless. We've talked about that a few times. There's been a few more, but really it's less than 5 in my opinion. So I think most of the stuff here is new. I don't really know the quarterfinal map pool that well yet. I think Homework Crisis has got to have been selected in a tournament before, but you know, I think we've actually cut down on repeats a lot this year.
And I'd like to add more on that. Even though there are repeated usage of maps, I think they have different flavors because it's on different mods. And on quarterfinals, as you have requested, everyone have requested, we have 0 repeated maps, so feel free to enjoy it.
Alright, cool. And I think another thing is, like Loctite was pointing on, is the reason why you see some of the older maps mixed in with newer maps with these pools is if you're going to consider yourself best at everything, you have to be able to take on those maps with lower approach rates and stuff. And one of the bigger things I see from new people that have risen quite high in the ranks in short times is they tend to have issues reading anything that isn't AR9 or higher.
I'm
gonna say, go ahead, Charles. I've cut you off so many times. You gotta get one in eventually. Go ahead.
All right. Anyway, I always had a personal wish to, like, you know, see maps like Darimix's Red Sign in a tournament of this nature, because it's such a blast from the past that still holds up today, that if you were to throw in, it would be really interesting.
I had given a newer, like one of my friends that's I think a newer player within the past 2 years, I gave them Red Sign and they are like top 1000. They could not read it at all.
It's rough, but it's good.
I love that map.
I think since it's the OS World Cup and you're already cherry picking as all hell to get your maps, I think age does not really matter as much as we give it credit for. Because there's not a lot, but there's at least a few maps that are way older than people think they are, and turns out they were already good back then. I mean, a good example is a map that I always come back to is Steering an Autumn Moon. Now that map was actually picked in the first OS World Cup, and
it should be in there again.
What?
It should be in there again. I love that map.
see,
I have an undying love for that map.
that map was done in 2010, and I'm sure if not for the approach rate 8, it would still completely hold up today. Probably a bit easy, but it would still definitely hold up today.
I remember that in the
It's
original
really fun
draft,
to play with Hidden on it.
on the original draft for the Range 16 in the Hidden pool, I don't know. I mean, they have revoked it later, but they put Booze Hound on the Hidden bracket,
Oh.
and I was like, yeah, that's old. That's
Which
cool.
one are you talking?
Booze Hound by T. Natake is the old one.
Oh, that's not the oldest. Oh, that's not the oldest one. Then.
Yeah, that's not the oldest, but it's kind of old.
I first thought you meant the oldest one.
It's not the Elisif one.
Whoa.
Yeah, I thought you meant the
And in the group stage, originally in double time bracket, there was a James map. I remember. I can't recall which one, but this has been changed on later. But I would have enjoyed seeing that, to be honest, on Sorja.
Now, with that being said, I would still be incredibly surprised if we saw a map from before 2010, because 2010 there's definitely options. You could pick Matryoshka. That would be completely fine.
Okay,
But-
no, just open user Gao, any of those.
But no, seriously though, I don't think we're gonna see anything from before 2010, just because things have changed so much from. I mean, it's been like 5 years, so of course things have changed so much from back then. So I think 2010 is going to be the limit, and even then I don't think we're gonna get anything from 2010 either.
All right. Well, thank you so much for that question. We're going to go ahead and take last calls on questions. So if anybody has a question here, feel free to get it out there and make it known. That goes to anybody. The questions are open. This will be the last question, and then we're going to be wrapping it up, everybody. So if there's any more questions, please feel free to chime in at the bottom of chat.
Yeah, if you have questions, chime in now. Otherwise, I'll start Charles's Devil's Advocate corner.
Oh boy. Well, it's looking like, okay. So, that's actually a decent question. Color, you want to help me out on pronouncing that first part? I know the laptop, but I don't know the first part.
I don't know, Cytox?
Cytox?
Probably butchering the name, but I've never heard it. So
Cytox
I think Cytox
laptop?
would be the best.
Okay. Alright. So, Cytox asks here, how much fun do you guys have doing this?
I just need popcorn and I'm set, man.
Well, oh god, this is a kind of double-edged question, to be honest, because it's like you love doing it, but you hate it on the same time. I mean, it's like the thing is, I love to do it, but people tend to turn out a bit unthankful for stuff I and my fellows are doing.
Mm-hmm. I can agree there.
It's like people take this stuff too much for granted, and they claim their rights for stuff they actually don't have in this degree. I really enjoy hosting the tournaments, but still I think that it is not admired sufficiently to me. Not to, I mean, I can omit the admiration, but the others also. I mean, like Pen and Tuglat and Mr. Collar and Zetroid and all the others that are helping out Gladiol, Marcin, especially Marcin, who's mostly working in the background. They don't get the admiration they should get, and this is also a bit killing the fun you have there, because when people are constantly only shitting on you because you don't do how they expect stuff to happen, you start to quit enjoying it as you should actually.
Yeah.
Well, to be honest, the one who gets the most hate is still you, because the rest of us is usually working behind the scenes, and
we hide behind that glorious lactate.
yes,
shield.
and we try to hide behind your broad shoulders a bit.
All I'm doing
But-
is
But it's a good example is the best part of group stage is when it's over.
That's true. And so
Wow.
the management.
I
Wow.
have to agree. I as cruel as that sounds, I have to
It's really cruel.
agree. And I think
well, go ahead, Kyler.
when we were on at the end of the of the group stage, it was 2 days and it had been 17 matches. That is 17 hours of solid commentary. That
Oh.
takes a bit on you, and I don't even want to imagine the people organizing the matches. But just
Yeah.
for me, since I'm a commentator, I'm gonna go for commentary. It wears you out so much, and at the end, all of the people, like just everyone in the commentating booth, was just like, "Oh, thank God, it's finally over."
Well,
Yeah.
when we are sitting here sometimes on the matches, especially on the last ones, and we are like, "Oh, please let it be 4-0. Please let it be 4-0.
Oh my
so
God.
it's quick over." And suddenly it's
You
like
just-
4, and then it's suddenly 2-1, and like no, and then 2-2. Oh my God! It is never. I have to pee. I want
have-
to
you
eat.
have-
I want to sleep. You know.
You have
It's-
the
it's-
closest. You have the closest match in the game's history right when you want to leave.
Yeah, that's always like that.
The
Right.
thing
I
is,
still-
it's usually just the 2 or 3 of us hosting the matches, and it's very rare, especially in group stage, to get some time off to prepare food, you know, go to the bathroom,
Yeah.
do stuff. So group stage is always really taxing on us, especially if you have 4 matches at the same time, like we
Or
had this
if
year.
you have rosters that are a bit incooperative.
That as well.
Don't,
Yeah.
don't get too ahead of me there, Lacta.
And
Well-
especially if you have 4 matches and the next block is again 4 matches, you have a time frame of about 15 to 20 minutes where you have to manage 8 matches at the same time, and it really starts to get to you, especially in group stage. So everything after the group stage is, I would say, smooth sailing, but yeah.
Well, in the round of 16, we are like 3 people on one match, and you're like, you press start and you change the map and you look on the chat and soothe the people. It's a bit more relaxing indeed. I mean, one person could host the entire 116 alone, actually.
Yeah, and just to put on that from a little bit of a positive perspective, I love commentating. Don't get me wrong. I might have sounded a little bit quiet or a little sleepy last time, but the 4 in the morning, 3 in the morning stuff really doesn't work for me when my sleep schedule's fixed. If my sleep schedule's messed up, you can tell. You can tell when I'm all about it. And I love doing it. I love the feedback I get from the community. I even love the crazy Twitch chat. Not everybody loves the crazy Twitch chat, but
Alright.
when I could sit there and rile up a whole group of people and get them excited about something, that's a great feeling. I like that. I enjoy
Alright.
it.
So I'm gonna,
You know
I'm gonna
what?
take over, and oh dang it! All right, go for it.
Okay, you know what? As a Maple staff, I even pick maps in my dream. That's how I
Oh.
enjoy it.
Dang. It's like you wake up, and one time you're just thinking, "It is time for the big black."
Everyone's
One-
like, no!
Will never be time for the big
Never
black.
be
One
time,
thing,
right?
one thing I do in the morning is that I always check the map pool.
Yeah, and I mean, it's a lot of fun, but usually where I start to run out of gas is like 6 or 7 hours into it, and then it's like, oh hey, by the way, you still gotta, like, I still try to actively run the OS Academy and still, you know, set up these talks, and the talks have been a little bit sparse right now, and I do apologize for that if anybody's like,
They're
where's my
hella
talk
long, though.
fix? They are incredibly long. But if people are like, where's my talk fix? I need it. I do apologize for that. It's just been really hectic. It'll go back on a more steady release schedule as the OWC concludes and till the next one where I have to, you know, do something. I think Taiko World Cup's next, right, Octav?
Yes.
All right. And more or less, I'll let Charles go ahead and close here, but I really enjoy doing it.
Yeah. Again, this is the devil's advocate corner, so this whole thing might not even end up making it to the recording. All right, so let's start it off nice and simple. What happened to Twitch chat?
Yeah.
Okay, so we could kind of I can go a little bit on this. 9 times out of 10, most of the time the spam you see in Twitch isn't something we really worry about. It's not really that big of a deal. You see faces, they get axed and stuff like that. It's just when we start to see disrespect to the other teams. For simple things, like, say for example, there's a problem with the other team and we can't record them because they don't have their stuff together. We have to switch to another match. We have to have live air there. We can't just go, oh, well, we're gonna wait for them and we'll see how long they take, and we'll just sit here and talk about nothing and twiddle our thumbs. We have to give the viewers something, and it's really disheartening as a whole, at least from my opinion, is when the Twitch chat just blows up in your face about how this is dumb, you should be doing that match. They don't listen. They don't listen to what's going on. I mean, I guess some people out there think it's okay to stare at a blank screen for 20 minutes while somebody's trying to get their team together.
At the same time, I feel like a lot of this is just runs into, basically, it's kind of important to know where you are at the particular situation. And I mean, when it comes to Twitch TV, the whole chat's got it's literally has its own defined culture, regardless of who's streaming, or I mean, in very rare cases. And so it might be a little disheartening to see people calling you a piece of shit, but you really bounce it off, because Twitch chat is never serious. And I feel like
it's true.
The moment that you take Twitch chat seriously is when people start getting upset for no reason, and then the Twitch chat will then legitimately get upset, and then everyone gets angry. If Twitch chat just does its thing and people don't take it to heart, everyone should be happy, I think.
But you do have to avoid things like fake raffles, stuff.
Yeah, that's annoying.
Oh, that's really nasty. Spam,
Just,
spam of merchandising, spamming of, like fake retail goods. That's really bad stuff.
That, and of course the ASCII spamming that you see in pretty much every stream.
I believe it was.
They're not very good links, but then you can like filter these out, so it's not that bad.
Yeah, absolutely. There are automatic ones.
Yeah, there's been. I haven't looked at the Twitch chat too much, but there's been stuff I've agreed on, some stuff I haven't really agreed on, but I think really Charles really hit that nail on the head when he said you need to not take it as seriously, because Twitch chat is hype, it is memes, and it is absolutely nothing else. Twitch chat is just, we want to have fun, and like we want to say the most inane, inane bull crap we can basically. So it's like, it's Lord Helix, it's
God.
It's Lord Helix, it's Kappa, it's FrankerZ, and you won't ever be able to take it away from them.
You run away from it.
Well, at least FrankerZ and Kappa are filtered out in the OSU Live.
See, that, again, I feel like that would just cause more problems, because when people see that they aren't allowed to do something, they want to do it even more.
1 year, I mean...
No, it's been filtered longer than that. It was filtered even when I was doing it 2 years ago.
Oh yeah, it's been filtered, but I personally disagree with it. But that's only my opinion. Doesn't.
All right.
But
so that was the case for Twitch chat.
All right, and with all that, I'd like to give a major thank you to everybody that was able to take part of this. I know it was kind of short notice, and we kind of scooped everybody up. Major thanks to Charles for just being here for once. Thanks, buddy. Everybody else, I hope everybody enjoyed it. And I hope it opens some people's eyes to what goes on with tournaments and the creation, and could possibly, make you interested. And I know a lot of people have been asking, like, what do they do about, like, they want to help, they want to be part of it. So as we close this up, LockTap, for any of those that are trying to aspire to, like, help with commentary or help keep the chat safe or whatnot, what is your words of wisdom to them? Okay, well, basically, I was just saying, if anybody wants to take part and help with the tournaments and stuff like that, what should they be doing? Like, I'm pretty sure you've probably heard it yourself as well. There's people that say, how can I help commentate? How can I help keep the chat clean? I want to help. But, of course, what are the steps to go to the right path? You can't just go, hey, I want to help, and get thrown on there, obviously.
Rededicated. I mean, the thing is, what I'm mostly looking for is for people that are reliable, reasonable, and also trustworthy. Moreover, they should be, how do you say it? They need to have available, dedicated, especially, and they need to be able to obey. And this is something that is a bit not everybody can do, because we are still on the internet, you know, and this is for some people some kind of anarchy, and I do whatever I want. But in this kind of organization, I need to be able to make sure that you are obeying what I want from you in the current situation, and this is a bit.
That's one way to
because
put it.
I don't want to explain you why, because we can do that later. I mean, just do what I say, and later after everything we can talk about it.
And I will crack my whip slightly at your back that time.
Yeah, exactly. You can kill me afterwards, but not in the current situation. Mostly I find you. Not because I don't look for. I mean,
Luck
I don't
comes
accept.
to your house.
Yeah,
He knocks
like
on your
that.
door.
Oh, that's scary.
I mean, I remember that Gladiol was quite dedicated with suggesting things about what to change, what to do. Same goes for Tuglad, who was mostly organizing all the Korean teams across all World Cups on his own, but he never was asking me to get at it or to do something. So I went to, for example, to Gladiol and to Tuglad and asked them on my own. I will ask the people whenever I request their help, so I don't accept any applications. Just do something that I notice you and that I see that you want to do something, but don't tell me, that you're doing something, because these are empty words.
Yes. Well, no, it's actually a good thing, because I mean, that's kind of been like one of the things that I've learned throughout my entire 7-year journey in this game, is that when you want something done, and I'm not saying on terms of moderation or anything like that, just if you want to see something cool, do it. If you want to push the limits, do it. If it was meant to be, it'll come to be. Just like, for example, dragons. I didn't think that was meant to be, but
no,
I
think a more modern example would be Miss You.
Yeah, and it's things like that. People taking the initiative to try and make sure things work and do stuff. And that's all I think anybody asks of any community, is if you're going to do something, do it. Just,
try
go
it out,
for
see what happens.
Yeah, experiment. It's not going to hurt anybody. If it goes somewhere, it goes somewhere. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But
don't break the rules.
Yeah.
No, do break the rules.
Obey.
You'll get your map approved, and then everybody will hate you for like a week.
It's not mapping rules.
But anyways, thank you guys all for coming out, and we hope you enjoyed this special OWC edition of the OS Talk.
2 hours
we'll have
long.
we'll have our next OS Talk thing set up within a couple weeks. Just keep an eye on the thread, and remember, guys, Rhythm's only a click away, and we'll see y'all real soon.
Hugs and kisses.
Coming from Color, that means nothing.
Yes.